This is going to be a giggly episode. I can tell.
we don't have the after dinner zoomies.
No, not at all. Our blood sugar isn't high.
I'm going to go run up and down the stairs right now.
Welcome back to another episode of Dice to Pixels. We're doing things a little bit different tonight. It is
How
currently...
so?
Oh my God, don't interrupt me, Sarah.
Too late, already did it.
All right, I'm
Take
out of here.
that.
So we're doing things a bit different. It is currently 7:20 p.m. and this episode will be going live at 12 o'clock tomorrow morning. Noon o'clock. For the first time, we are going to film, edit, and upload tonight.
Yeah.
And then it will release
less than
tomorrow.
24 hours.
Significantly less, yeah. Less than 20 hours for that matter.
Oh.
We're calling this the South Park model. So
I've got my sleeping bag under the table.
That's right. So we wanted to do this so that we can bring a little bit more topical news we can talk a little bit more about topical stuff. Last week, we legitimately we filmed the podcast episode like, what was it, 4 hours after the One D&D announcement. And we're all kind of kicking ourselves in the ass afterwards, thinking like, if only we had known, we would have done it. And so not from now on, but in general, I think we're going to move to a more fast-paced, get them out quick so that we can talk about more topical stuff.
Yeah.
So with that said, we're going to talk some tonight. One of the topics we're going to talk about tonight is what we would have talked about last week, which is...
One D&D.
Exactly.
Yes. One D&D announced last week, was it not? Last week, beginning of last week? Or whatever?
One week ago.
1 week ago.
Today.
Announced during called the next generation of the next evolution of D&D.
Yeah, and there are two separate parts. There's been a lot of confusion between the two. One D&D is the new permanent edition of D&D. So the way that they explain it is that One D&D will be just D&D. There won't be a 6th edition or a 7th edition or whatever. Mm-hmm. It is going to be D&D. And then separately, there is also the digital side of that, which is the virtual tabletop is the biggest part of it, which I think people are probably the most opinionated about from what I've seen. Yeah. And we're going to talk about both, but we want to keep those concepts separate because One D&D is like a rule set. And then the virtual tabletop is like a whole different thing. So we're going to talk about
there is a third piece to it as well.
A third piece.
That it's not, I don't think it's been talked about quite as much. Like I personally find it kind of really good and interesting. When you buy physical books, you get a digital version as well.
The bundles. Yes. Yeah. I actually kind of took that for granted, but that is actually a big deal for a lot of people.
Yep.
So
especially with it being in D&D Beyond, then you have all of your stuff right in D&D Beyond to create your characters and campaigns. And
I mean, I think a small thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you can also pre-order the physical books through D&D Beyond as of soon.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me in the least. Which would make sense. Interesting.
I do wonder with that whether they will offer a limited run of special covers or if those will remain game store only, because that was historically a game store only thing. Yeah. You could only get it at your local shop local, all that stuff.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see now that they're pushing people a little bit more towards the digital side of things, whether they compromise on that.
Yeah. I hope they stick with it. I think it's great to have it for local stores only.
Yeah.
It will just depend on what corporate greed is like.
It entices people to get out more often, and support your local gaming store, wherever that may be in your city, town, whatever.
Well, if there's one thing we can say about the company that owns and created Magic the Gathering, it's that greed is not part of their corporate culture. They've never experienced greed.
Anyway.
Yeah, that might have been a lie.
We're always gonna have people. I mean, I personally like physical copies of the books. Having the digital edition in front of us is convenient as opposed to having to carry a whole stack of books to a game or whatever. as opposed to just having it all on your laptop readily available to
Or your
you,
phone
or your phone for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the options are still going to be there. You're just getting the best of both worlds now.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who like I respect anyone who wants to, you know, game non-digital with D&D. Like if that's your jam, great, more power to you. But I would seriously question anyone who's like, no, PDF copies of the books are bad. Like that's just stupid.
You're gonna get people like that anyway,
You
because
will, but
it falls into the argument of physical like novels versus
get off my lawn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Since
E-books.
1992, I've had some physical media.
That's right.
Right. Let people just have the things they enjoy.
Let me have my laser discs.
I want my 8-track.
So 1D&D, the new rule set,
Yes.
looks to me, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and it looks to me like a lot of it is geared around trying to remove some of the more questionable DMing from the game.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of stuff in there about things as simple as like build your own background, that is now going to be an official piece of content. 99% of players would already want to do that. And I think most DMs were already fine with it. But having it officially codified means two things. One, it's easy to keep consistent. And two, if you've got that GM who's a bit of a prick about the rules, it's now in the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's sort of in the rules. It will be in the rules.
Yes.
So,
another thing I kind of like when it's talking about the different races too, at this point they haven't explicitly put anything in for like half orcs or half elf at all, but they've acknowledged, you know, different humanoids making babies. And they have allowed for that too, where basically like you choose the race option of whichever one you want. And yeah.
Which falls into the same category. Like as a DM, I would never have told, like if somebody came to me and said, I'd like to use the half elf traits as a half whatever dwarf or something. Yeah. I would never have been like, oh no, you can't possibly do that. But I do know people that as a DM would have said no. And I think, to me, a lot of this new rule set looks to be things where it's codifying stuff that everybody who played the game as a game was already doing. It's just making it official. Yeah. Or unofficially official.
Yes. It also kind of feels like this is a lot of stuff that you would see in places like RPG Drive-Thru that independent people have been put together and thought through as well. So.
Yeah, simplifying things and just making it, just bringing some of the more common house rules into official content, which is always a good idea. Yeah. Inspiration is interesting. They made inspiration more mechanical, I guess. Yeah. It's slightly less. There's more places where you definitely get it. Like if you roll a 20, you get it, as opposed to the DM just awarding it sometimes.
Yeah, and you can't bank them either. You only get one. If you have one.
Yeah, well, that was always the case, for the record. That was always the official rule.
I know, but I tend to roll 20s like they're going out of style.
Yeah, I know you do.
Was it a thing that you lost it after a long rest? I don't ever recall that being a thing.
I don't remember. I don't think so. From my recollection, inspiration was something that the GM gave you and lasted until you used it.
Yeah, so at this point, they are taking it that you lose it at the end of a long rest.
Yeah, I'm betting that will be one of the most heavily host ruled things is that you don't. Hard to say.
I think they're probably trying to do that because they're giving humans now one inspiration per day, and you lose it with your long rest if you haven't used it.
Defeats the purpose if you don't. Yeah. So I don't have strong opinions one way or the other. No. I think inspiration is cool. I think making it mechanical is great. I'll still award it because why wouldn't you?
Yep.
But just basically it'll get used more often.
Yep.
That's not a bad thing.
Yep. They've helped out small races now too, that they don't have to move only 25 feet. They're up to 30 feet now.
Yeah, well, we talked about that a little bit earlier as well. Just whoever first decided that races should move 5 feet different from each other should have just been fired for that design decision. Like that is the dumbest design decision ever. Partly because, first of all, 5 feet probably isn't even close to accurate. It would probably be like 10 or 15 feet less.
Yeah.
And second of all, that's just an inconvenience for everybody. Yeah. For the DM, for the player, for the party. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they got rid of that.
Yeah.
I'm actually, it's good that I making it like all streamlined for everybody.
It's easier.
It makes way more sense.
Yeah. Then you don't have to try and keep track of how many feet each person can move unless they have those bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. Like movement speed is, other than encumbrance, I would say movement speed is probably the most ignored stat in the game. Except when you're in like actual tile-based combat. But like in theory, your party is literally 100% of the time waiting for the gnome to catch up. And it's like nobody actually does that.
No, that's dumb.
That's stupid.
Yes.
And in combat, it was just 99% of the time, it made absolutely no difference. And then 5% of the, or 1 or 5 or whatever percent of the time, it meant that your character had all of the spell slots and everything else that they needed, but couldn't quite get to where they needed. And it cost a party wipe.
Yeah.
Which is a stupid reason to wipe, right?
Yep.
Even in the context of a fantasy game, that's a stupid reason to wipe. So I think that's the right choice. And I also noticed that they were rewriting, they appear to be rewriting the way that they are doing conditions.
Yeah.
They're being more explicit about like things like inactive is a better way of writing the fact that you lose actions. I can't count the number of times that somebody has said like, oh, well, it says you can't take actions, but you can still do reactions, or you can still do bonus actions, or you can still, as like, actually, no, that is covered in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
But
also action is still in that word.
Right.
If you want to get to the nitty gritty.
But also like, yeah, just write it like, word that better. And they did. They have now. So,
well, like with the limited
motion.
Yeah. It says now you must spend 1 extra foot of movement for every foot you move during your speed.
Yes. Worded very strangely.
Yes.
But it is definitely for the sake of rules that are based around movement speed, because your movement speed isn't changing. When you're in difficult for terrain, for instance, your movement speed is not changing. It's just taking more of that movement speed to move.
Yeah.
In this case, they did that with slow, which is actually mildly interesting because slowed is the one condition where it actually would make sense to literally shrink your movement speed. In almost every other circumstance, spending more movement is the mechanic that you're looking for. So it is interesting that they used that for slowed, but the wording is more specific, but more cumbersome.
Yes.
So like most people will just be like, it halves your movement speed, and that's fine for 99% of the time. But every once in a while, there will be that tweak of the rules that this wording is better for. So,
Yes. Put that guy or girl or person in their place.
That's right. Yeah, you tell them. If somebody tries, you just slam that sucker down and say, that's not what they meant. And then go online to Twitter. That sounded so old, the way I said that.
Go online to the Twitter.
Get on the intertubes and go to the Twitter.
Turn on your AOL online.
And add Jeremy Crawford and say, thank you.
Yes.
I don't know if he's the one who wrote that new rule. He probably is.
Yeah, I think most of this was written by Jeremy Crawford. Yeah, it says by Jeremy Crawford with Christopher Perkins and Ray Winiger.
I like Mr. Perkins.
One of the things I'm curious about here, because I honestly don't know, but interrupting a long rest, that's always been a thing?
I was reading that.
New?
That has always been a thing. Actually, there's a whole bunch of rules around long rests that people just ignore. Now, I admit, I actually don't know exactly what it says.
If a long rest is interrupted by combat or by 1 hour of walking, casting spells, or similar activity, the rest confers no benefit and must be restarted. However, if the rest was at least 1 hour long before the interruption,
you still get
the creature gains the benefits of a short rest.
Yeah, that's not new. That's normal. Okay. That's always been the case. Most DMs, a lot of DMs hand wave around that. But I think I actually think the 1 hour of movement, 1 hour of walking, I think that specifically might be new.
Okay.
But in general, interrupting a long rest has always been a thing. The difference that I saw with the rest mechanic, or sorry, I didn't see, and I don't know if they've changed this or not. Normally, sleeping, like long resting in armor, also potentially conveys exhaustion. I didn't see anything about exhaustion.
No, there's nothing in here at this point.
Assume that means they either haven't gotten to that or they just aren't changing those mechanics.
Yeah.
But that was the one thing with long resting that I didn't see anything about exhaustion.
I feel like a lot of people skip around that anyway to begin with because
almost everybody does.
Yeah, because like thinking back on all the games I played, I'm like, oh, whenever we're interrupted, I still am wearing all of my armor.
So it's only heavy armor that does it.
Okay.
So in reality, as a heavy armor wearing, you're actually supposed to bring 2 sets of armor. You're supposed to bring like your under armor, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Not sponsored. And your actual heavy armor. Now, in reality, there are 2 reasons people don't follow that rule. One, it's a little dumb.
Yeah.
It's not. It simultaneously makes perfect sense, and it's a little dumb because it's just bookkeepy. And then the other reason for it is actual like heavy armor. You will be wearing a essentially leather armor under your plate armor already. So you would take the plate off, but you would still probably, if you were out in the battlefield, I imagine you'd keep your leathers on. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But certainly if you were expecting an ambush in the middle of the night, I think you would. So it's a little weird that way. But technically speaking, if you're a heavy armor wearer, you should be rolling for exhaustion.
See, I don't see how, to me, like just thinking about it from a real life standpoint, I don't know that it actually would happen. Because if you're tired as hell and you're not bothering to take off your armor, you're going to sleep no matter what. You won't be comfortable by
it's important to keep in mind what the first level of exhaustion is, which I think is just like disadvantage on
stuff.
I don't even think it's just
Dex.
Yeah, Dex. Yeah. I was going to say the first round of exhaustion isn't actually that bad.
Okay, that actually does make sense.
So it's like, you get rest, but you don't get full rest.
Yeah, you're kind of stiff in the morning type thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, the weird thing about exhaustion mechanics in D&D is that there's no sort of like automatic recovery. Like getting to the first level of exhaustion, I live my life at the first level of exhaustion, but I don't degrade to the next level every night. Like it's just like it's harder to get to level 2 exhaustion, so to speak, than it is to get to level 1, and that was never really handled well in D&D. So maybe they'll tweak that.
Yeah.
Because like, what is it? Level 5 or 6 of exhaustion is death. And it's like, that's going from like, I'm a little tired and not great at like rolling dex versus like, I'm dead. You will not get to I'm dead by sleeping in heavy armor. Yeah. It won't happen. So anyways, I think that's the highlights of the rule changes. Honestly, there's nothing too major. I think it's just, sorry, go ahead.
The critical hits.
Oh yeah, the rolling.
Yeah.
Only player based now.
That was one of the major ones that made me think that this is partly geared towards stifling the worst of the DMs.
Mm-hmm. Plus, when you get that 20, you get an inspiration.
Yes.
So Chad will constantly have an inspiration.
Every turn.
See, now the next campaign, I'm going to roll nothing but 1s.
Good.
So actually, I hope it's 6s.
Evil campaign. That's, and to what I was saying about being mechanical, I like that. I think that's good. I think that doing it for players only is a great thing. The DM should not be like celebrating critting the players unless it's good for the story, and if it's good for the story, do it anyways.
Oh hell yeah.
So like there's too many DMs that they treat even combat, it's not actually the DM versus the players, right? It's the players versus the world. So like too many DMs like get excited when I scored a crit against the players. It's like, cool, is that actually a good thing, or did you just make their game less fun? So I think moving to players only is the right choice. I think that's great.
Yep.
yeah, with that, I think we can probably talk about the controversial thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a false controversy if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
It's like,
I agree.
So first of all, does one of you want to give the lowdown on what people are pissed about? Or do you want me to do that?
I mean, you might as well just fire away, dude.
People are pissed about everything.
Well, obviously.
yeah.
The number of people who I've seen talking about it taking away from the like mind space of the game and the creativity of the game and everything else. This idea that like you won't be able to do cool things. You won't be able to role play like backflipping off of a table because it's not represented on screen and that kind of thing. Like that seems to be one of the major complaints. And those people are just idiots.
Yeah.
Like just straight up idiots. It's like you can't do that with minis either.
No.
And people do it with minis all the damn time. Like,
yeah. So
just don't be dumb.
You've jumped into this, but not explained what it is that we're talking
Virtual
about.
tabletop. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I never did explain.
So one of the third pieces that they've talked about releasing with all of this is their own virtual tabletop now.
Yeah, we'll actually put a little bit of footage because I think the footage is safe to use. I'll throw it up in a corner. It's a really beautiful 3D rendered top down world
And isometric views as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. I think it has actually just isometric. I'm not even sure it does top down. It's still like early alpha, so who knows? But really gorgeous. And they used a tilt shift lens, which for photographers, they'll know exactly what that means. But basically, it's a way of you can buy tilt shift lenses in real life that made so you can take like aerial photography of a city and it makes it look miniature just because of the way that it does blur. That's what a tilt shift is actually called.
That's cool.
The lens actually, one element of the lens actually like tilts compared to the other one, and it causes some pieces of the image to be out of focus and the center of it to be in focus. So you get this cool plane that's in focus and then two planes that are out of focus.
I always wondered how they've managed that little trick.
The lens literally articulates. Now, obviously, this is all software, but that mechanism, that tilt shift lens mechanism that they're using makes it look miniature. It really does add to the immersion. It's a great idea. I know that's one thing that they specifically mentioned in the announcement, and it is a great idea. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
But to people who are complaining about this kind of stuff, it's like if you can't imagine something that's not on the screen in front of you, don't, for the love of God, play an RPG because it's not for you.
No.
Like minis have not. At no point did miniatures ruin the D&D game, right? Like,
no.
And this is just digital miniatures. It's no different.
Yeah, they're not going to stop making miniatures. People are going to always want miniatures, so it's not like they're exchanging their production of miniatures for the virtual tabletop. It's always going to be there. Even
if someday in the future miniatures do go away, like, cool. So that still doesn't mean you can't be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for the number of people that have nothing on their tables to begin with other than their imaginations, like, and
also go get a 3D printer.
Yeah, that too.
They're $100 these days.
And for the most part, I mean, I've only ever used miniatures, and again, I haven't been playing that long, but I've only used miniatures like twice.
Yeah.
And both times I didn't have any control over what I was doing. So to the argument of, oh, well, I can't do a backflip off a table. I'm not going to hover over a miniature set and grab my mini and then have it do a backflip and then land and stuff like that. It's just,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm not trying to call anybody specific out, but one of the things I heard somebody saying was essentially akin to like, you know, you can't smash through a window or like swing from the rafters or something. It's like, when was the last time you broke out like a rafter miniature and like held it above and then like lassoed it with a little rope and like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that doesn't exist now. Why would this affect that?
And with the VTT, I find I'm intrigued by this. I'm looking forward to seeing it because honestly, I could care less about miniatures. For the most part, whenever I've played D&D, the whole combat perspective has been
theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Theater of the mind, your imagination, and letting the DM kind of play out and set the scene so that you kind of picture it in your own eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's how I've always pictured it. Now, this virtual tabletop, especially with what we've talked about, it sounds really intriguing, and it could be a nice little thing for your home or table or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few elements to the VTT that excite me. And I'm going to go through them in order, and you guys interrupt whenever you want to, because otherwise I'm just going to talk for the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
Number one is you get to create your miniature. You don't have to mold a miniature. You don't have to, paint it or anything else. You get to digitally create it, which is way easier.
And so much cleaner.
Yeah. So much cleaner. That's right. And harder to forget.
Yes.
Yes.
So like, I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that you can unlock more creativity, like I can vouch, and I know you can vouch, and both of you can vouch, and probably everyone watching can vouch, that finding your specific class as a tiefling in the plastic Reaper miniatures or whatever at your local game store or whatever is a goddamn nightmare.
Oh, it is the worst. Like my one character I played, Gran, who was a tiefling rogue, but she was elderly. I ended up luckily finding a pre-paint, I think it was a pre-made. It was supposed to be an NPC enemy.
Right. And
I found it for like $7 online, but there literally was only like 2 that I was able to find across the entirety of the internet.
Yeah. Like it's fine if you're into kit smashing and everything else and that's your jam. Great. Awesome. Go for it. Do it. Mm-hmm. Have your little pedestal miniature that you created and you keep forever as a keepsake. That's great. That is perfectly valuable for you, and it's a great thing to do. But for most people, that is an inconvenience that they would rather not have part of their game. Mm-hmm. And as a DM, I don't want to have, if my player goes to the effort of painting their mini, I don't want to then feel that I have to go to the effort of painting 500 miniatures to do all the combats. Yeah. I'd way rather pull them up in VTT and rock on.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing for people who want it. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to do is this won't be out until Q3 of next year, but we are going to put a TV in the table and we're going to use it when it comes out, because I think it's great. Yep. And the way that I do maps to address, because cost was one of the things that I heard people complaining about as well. The idea that a TV is expensive and blah, blah, blah. And that's true, can be true.
But if you have a television or a computer screen in your home already, you just project it onto there.
Yeah, well, and I think, so to be clear, I think the complaint was mostly around getting the same sort of environment of laying it on the table. Mm-hmm. Getting a TV to do that was expensive. And that's true.
Fair. Yep.
However, I will point out that I have just over there off screen 2 TVs, 4K TVs that I bought for $250. New, by the way, not used. And we're going to use one of those, and we're going to put it in the center of the TV. And now
center
that is
those. Of the table.
Sorry?
Center of the table.
That's what I said.
You said center of the TV.
Center of the TV? Well, it's going to be a TV, so it'll be true. So we're gonna do that, and then we'll have that. And so admittedly, those were really good deal TVs, but as I was saying to you guys earlier, I bought ChessX mats because the way that I do maps and the way that I will do VTT stuff as well, I create a map for a forest encounter, a dungeon encounter, a cave encounter, a boat encounter, a city encounter, and I just have all of these ready to go. So that if the players get into a fight in the middle of a city, I pull out the city, unroll, there's your combat. Those ChessX mats aren't cheap, and I would say I spend at least $200 to $300 on those mats to have a library of maps. So in reality, for my specific case at least, the VTT stuff is actually going to be cheaper than the mats and the minis, because once you add minis into that, oh my god, come on.
Well, minis are not cheap, and then if they're not pre-painted, then it's your time for painting, and you're buying the paint.
And if they are pre-painted, they're $40 a piece.
Yeah, and then. And another thing to take into consideration with those is storage. Chad and I,
100%.
We don't live in a large home. Our friends who play D&D also, they live in apartments. where do you store all of this stuff when you have a smaller home?
In your basement recording studio.
Obviously.
Obviously.
So, yeah, I think... And
There's
like,
currently a tenant in that one.
That's right.
Yes. But like having a digital option for that is
100%.
fantastic. Like
1,000%.
Yeah.
Anyone who's complaining about VTT on the basis that it's going to destroy creativity, I don't even know how to respond to that other than to say, like, you are so far wrong that it's barely worth the response.
It seems like the type of argument that people had about when TVs came out, about rotting people's minds. And then, but you know what? People said
still did anyway.
Well, yeah. But before that, even when books became widely published and readily available after World War II as pocket books.
Yeah.
People said the exact same thing then.
You'll never talk to another human and it's
Exactly.
gonna, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never have. Oh, wait, yes, we have.
Now, look, the Twitter, that does rot your mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the intertubes.
I think my only concern with this would be this just seems really, really, really rife for microtransactions.
That is exactly what I was going to get to
That
next.
is my only worry about this. So my only hope is that if a lot of the assets for this virtual tabletop are tied to campaign books, both pre-existing so if you already own it, you should have access to minis, maps, terrains, whatever, virtually.
And in fairness, I assume that's the way that works. But going back to my previous comment, fortunately, this being a Wizards of the Coast product, we know that from the company that created Magic the Gathering, they have no concept of like recurring costs or any sort of like microtransactions or any of that sort of thing. So, and their digital properties especially there's no money that changes hands with Magic Online, for instance.
No,
so
not at all.
So we don't have that to worry.
No, I think though what you were saying with the digital, like having maps and tokens and stuff, that is already available through Roll20.
Yeah,
because they have all their campaign books.
Now, in fairness, yes, the official stuff. Yes,
they have their official stuff on Roll20. Because I have Witchlight on there, and I have all the tokens through there.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how their VTT will compare to something like Roll20 or Foundry VTT, I think.
Yeah. I think the question that will answer that will really answer your question as well as my sort of big question is what the customization looks like. Because one of the things that would stop me from using it would be that it's very hard to create custom maps.
Yeah.
If it's easy to create custom maps, I'm 100% sold. If all I can do is pull up Curse of Strahd maps, I don't care. It's worthless. It's literally worthless to me.
Yeah.
In the same way, if it's easy to customize minis, great. If it's hard, maybe not the end of the world, but annoying.
Yeah.
And if it's easy to customize stuff, there will be free versions. Like other people will create free versions of stuff. So they won't be able to charge that much for it.
No. No. It might become a little marketplace like other things are. So.
In any event, though, it's going to be interesting to see how One D&D comes around. It's going to be very interesting. I'm
very so to me, it strikes me that the creative side has beaten the corporate greed a little bit with this.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they're moving into this world where there isn't multiple editions. Like they could have easily said, hey, this is 6th edition and we're going to reprint all of your favorite modules for 6e.
Well,
and they didn't.
Yeah. And there was speculation that it was going to be 6th edition. So I think a lot of people were, myself included, were surprised when it's like, oh, we're just.
And everything's backwards compatible.
Yeah.
And
altering everything a little bit.
They could have done this greedily. And they didn't.
Yes.
Which means one of two things. They're either trying to buy some goodwill so that they can microtransaction you to death.
Yes.
Or the creative side has won out over corporate greed. And they're just counting on people being enthusiastic about D&D and also licensing. There is no shortage of licensing fees that WotC gets from D&D products. Every time Critical Role or Rick and Morty or acquisitions or anything like that creates a new D&D book, a huge chunk of that money goes to WotC.
Mm-hmm.
And the easier and more approachable they make for both to play and to create, the more of those license fees they'll get. I'm hoping that that's sort of where they're going with this, but time will tell.
Indeed it will. So, getting away from that.
I think we should.
This past week, Gamescom 2022 had a nice little showcase of a bunch of games in development coming soon, and some also surprise announcements. I'll briefly talk about one specifically. Sony decided that they're finally going to make a pro controller, a first-party pro controller called the Edge for the PlayStation 5.
That only took them a billion years.
That took them forever.
Is the premium version called the Edge Lord?
I hope so. I hope so. No, this is long overdue. This is
so enthusiastic. Sorry, continue.
It's so long overdue. This Xbox has done Elite controllers since the end of the 360 era.
Yeah.
And then the only other way to get a pro controller for a PlayStation product was via third party, and half the time those products were poor.
Yes. So do we know what the pro controller is?
Yeah, they showed imagery of it. We'll put a link in the description. It looks like you're basically your slick PS5 DualSense controller. They have back button attachments. You can remove the thumbsticks to make them.
Oh, it's just more customizable.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
The back button thing, that's my jam. I love having the extra buttons on the back, so then I don't have to take my thumbs off the thumbsticks.
For sure.
But yeah, that was a surprise announcement that really caught me off guard. So I'm quite pleased with that. There was also quite a few game announcements.
Yeah. So it looks like BioShock 4 possibly?
Maybe.
Possibly. I didn't see too much about that.
I honestly just was pulling that off an article the day that it was being released. So
Are we spreading fake news right now?
Possibly.
We might be. I hope we are.
Well, honestly. They've announced new Tales of Borderlands.
It looks like there is a new BioShock, but it's not necessarily BioShock 4.
Okay. Hogwarts Legacy, I guess, was shown off.
I'll be playing BioShock 4.
I haven't finished any of them.
Just for the right, I haven't either, but I'm still going to be playing BioShock 4.
Okay.
I don't know. Those games are that's like a midnight with the lights out game for me.
Well, the first two at least.
But I assume 4 will be similar.
Yeah.
BioShock Infinite was great. So I mean, if a lot of the developers that created the earlier BioShock games are involved in the project, I'll play the hell out of it.
Yeah, they're sort of jump scary, and I dig the occasional jump scare game.
Yeah. There's going to be a Dune survival MMO.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
If you are interested, unlike Adrian.
No, it's not that. I'm sure. I'm not even saying it'll be a bad game. It's just like, does everything have to have a goddamn MMO?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, okay. Well, if it does, then that's fine.
Clearly. But yeah, you can sign up for the beta on junegames.com.
Yeah.
And in Q4 of 2023, you can look forward to Dr. Pepper, the MMO. No, that's that. I'll check it out. I mean, Dune's a good franchise for it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just every fucking thing has an MMO these days.
One thing that doesn't have an MMO is this quirky little game called Moonbreaker. It's a turn-based strategy tabletop tactics game. And the look and feel of the look of the graphics, everything is like a little playing piece. So back when we were talking about miniatures, these look like legit little miniatures that you play into this virtual strategy game. And some of the universe was also co-created by Brandon Sanderson. So that's
and it comes out pretty soon. It's September 29th.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll put a link to the Steam page down there.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that one.
Another one that I was drawn my eye is called Phantom Hellcat.
Actually, just before we move on from that, I just quickly brought up the Steam page. There is a playtest that you can request access to for Moonbreaker right now. I don't know what the rules or details are, but if you are super interested, there you might get access.
Yeah.
Good.
That'd be awesome. This one called Phantom Hellcat. It was announced as well during Gamescom. Looks like an action platformer hack and slash along the lines of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, and it looks really like something up my alley. That quick, fast-paced combat style, really crazy imagery, and this is one I'm going to definitely have my eye on. There's no release date yet, but I already have it on my wish list for Steam, so I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for that one for sure.
How do you peel your eyes?
Well, I tend to get I just, kind of pop my
Don't.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Don't.
Yeah.
If you can peel your eyes, send photos. No.
Oh, don't, please.
To Sarah,
no,
specifically.
no.
There was a couple more games that only had like cinematic trailers, so I'm not gonna.
We'll just drop a link to
Yeah.
the Gamescom stuff, and you can check them all out for yourself.
So,
The other thing is, it's not over yet; it's still going on. So there's probably some new stuff to watch. Even as of tomorrow, when this is released, it will still be going on.
Yep.
So feel free to check it out and follow along.
yeah, definitely. Cliffy, you're on Steam. They have an entire Gamescom section that'll link you to a lot of these trailers and stuff like that. So
Yes.
definitely check it all out.
And there's a bunch of sales going on right now. We're going to talk about those a little bit later.
Mhm.
They all coincide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also for your Destiny fans out there, the season of Plunder has started on Tuesday.
Yeah. Now, you said you were not interested.
Well, I've been kind of
Just to be clear, I see Space Pirates and I'm like, holy shit, maybe I should play Destiny. Yeah. This guy who's been telling me about how awesome Destiny 2 is for forever is like, oh no, I'm not interested.
Well, see, there's certain things about Destiny that and again, I've said it over and over again. The gameplay's great. I will take that gameplay over any other first-person shooter on the market.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of how they're doing the whole seasonal content thing.
Yes, I remember this.
I have never liked it. I still don't like it. When you have a game that's released and you can only play a part of the story, one little chapter at a time for each week, that annoys me.
Yeah, so it's probably worth talking, because I actually don't know exactly how they do it. I kind of got it from context, but my understanding with the way that they're doing seasonal content is the new expansion releases, but it only unlocks every over time.
Yeah, there's the story.
That sounds like bullshit.
Yeah. Like set story sequences for the actual season itself are weekly, and they culminate usually near the end of the season with the big finale. Yay.
Yeah, part of me is like, oh, that's super creative and cool, and then the actual gamer in me is like, fuck that.
Yeah. They've also gone the way of a lot of other MMO games like Fortnite and stuff, and they have season passes.
Yeah.
So there's things that you unlock as you gain levels, and they're cosmetic or mats or whatever. So that's there. There's a seasonal themed armor that you get, which is pirate themed.
Oh no, I'm sold. No, forget everything. I'm sold.
They've adjusted their subclasses to more. Make them more customizable for the players. So this season, the final subclass, the Arc subclass, has finally gotten that treatment. I will probably end up playing it at some point. Right now, I haven't, so I'll reserve my judgment till then. And they've also got a cross promotion going on right now with Fortnite and Fall Guys.
Oh goddamn!
Which was just another reason why I was kind of less interested in this season.
My opinion of Destiny 2 has been like Space Pirates, and then like Chad talking about season passes and all that stuff. And then it's like pirate costume. And then collab with Fortnite is like, I don't know, it's through the floor.
And I guess
if that means it fell hard.
Yeah,
this is a concrete floor.
And I guess one of the big things that they're touting for this season is yet another raid that's making a comeback from Destiny 1, Kingsfall. I wasn't a big fan of it. I never liked the final encounter of the raid. I felt it was rather lame. I'm not going to get into the details, but people liked it, so it's back, and it's actually live today. I believe was the first chance you get a crack at getting her done. So, I mean, if my friends in Forever Gaming got it done, congratulations. If you didn't, what the hell, man?
Yeah, get your shit together.
Communication.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, one thing I saw in some of the articles I was browsing about this, that I know you, Chad, would probably like too, was that next year with their update, I guess, or with the next expansion or whatever, they're adding looking for group for stuff. And I remember there was a time when the Forever Gaming guys weren't around as much, and you were struggling to find groups to do raids and stuff with to get some of the stuff that
They've
you
always
wanted.
had an LFG, but it's
I think if they're announcing it this way, maybe they're doing it robust
in-game.
in-game.
You heard it here. Dating apps coming to Destiny next year.
Oh, there we
A
go.
new partnership between Destiny and Tinder.
Find your next catfish.
Plenty of Destiny.
Well, murdering people.
There you go.
Aliens.
Are aliens not people?
Well, before...
Well, how do you define
aliens
a
are
person?
people too,
Yeah,
Sarah.
I was like, well, okay, I guess that's technically like if you go with people not being not just exclusively human, then yeah.
Yeah, no, I want, like, maybe I'll print up one of these that says aliens are people too.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. Destiny. So you've completely taken the wind out of my sails. I no longer am interested in playing it. Thank you, Chad.
Not a problem, Adrian.
I was actually half serious because I did not have time to play Destiny.
It's hard for new people to get into that. So.
Oh, I just don't have time for an MMO.
No, I get it. I feel
What?
it.
Well, since we started doing the WoW stuff, like
yeah.
I'm tapped.
Yeah. Also, too, the new Saints Row game just came out.
Woo!
Yeah.
You've been playing it and you hate it.
No, I don't hate it.
You hate the ending.
Well, no, I haven't gotten to the end of it yet. I'm a little confused because it was touted as a reboot of the franchise, but it doesn't seem like a reboot at all. It just seems like another Saints Row game. A lot of is
that a bad thing?
No, because Saints Row is fun, and this one's definitely fun so far. I've been enjoying it. It has its bugs, as any you know.
Yeah, but they have annoying bugs in this one. That
Very
need
annoying
patches big time.
But it's Saints Row. It's the Saints Row charm. I think the thing that disappointed me though is when I think of a reboot of a franchise, I'll look at Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation, and then when they redid it. And it was a completely different game, a completely different experience. When they were saying that's what they were doing with Saints Row, the second I started it up and I seen the exact same kind of font and iconic, like the same font style, the same menu system.
So you were looking for a reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he says font style, he means the in-game, not like the title font style.
Yeah.
It means
like the actual in-game menu
font.
fonts and stuff like that are exactly the same as every other Saints Row game that's ever came out. So if you're doing a reboot of a franchise, wouldn't you kind of want to?
Well, but did they say it was a reboot or did they say it was a remake?
It's a reboot.
It's a reboot because it's not a remake of any of the games.
So they're liars.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's still
it's
fun.
a soft reboot,
Yeah,
I think.
it's still fun. I'm enjoying it so far. But yeah,
I'm disappointed that there's no dildo bat this time around.
I'm disappointed that there isn't a dildo bat in this room. That sounds like a great weapon. I don't know what it is. Well, I can guess what it is.
Yeah.
It's
You'd
one of
be
those
accurate.
kind of is what it says on the tin,
Yes.
I imagine.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. I want one.
I mean, you can get a baseball bat in this one,
You could get one in the other ones too.
and it's got nails in the end of it.
Yeah. That's a thing in there too.
Well, there you go.
Fuck you.
All right. So I'm turning this podcast around. Cool. So Saints Row. Chad is grumpy about all games and hates
I'm
everything,
not
likes
grumpy
nothing.
about it. I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
So
By the
actually,
way, Adrian,
yeah, I'm grumpy about everything too.
are you? Would you feel like developing a city?
I literally was about to get to that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you not see me? Oh, you're not in the document. We have a Google Doc.
We
that
have a
open.
document?
Yeah. Yeah, we're real high tech here. So Pocket City is a new game that we literally just found out about this afternoon.
Yeah.
And looks super cool. I will probably put an image up right about here. And it's SimCity. Like, it honestly looks like more or less retro, not super old SimCity, but like sort of early 2000s SimCity maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Almost looks iPhone, iPad-esque graphics, but maybe a bit more cutesy, like intentionally cute, not like just cute because it has to be. And it looks like a legitimately simple city building game. And I'm excited about it. And the benefit is that it works on Windows and Mac and is $4.96 or something. It's like $5.
It's like $5.
$4.65.
There you go. And that's Canadian. So like US, if you've got a quarter, you're set.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm going to be playing it. I picked it up. I literally bought it this afternoon. I'm going to be playing it. Chad got it too. We're going to check it out. We'll post some updates on Discord, whether we like it or not. I'll probably log some hours in it tomorrow. And yeah, I'm always looking for a new sim game. And this came around at the right time. It literally released yesterday. Or no, earlier
22nd.
22nd. Earlier this week.
Yep.
So I'm excited.
Yep, by Code Brew Games Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you showed us this initially this afternoon, it's literally like if you took SimCity from the SNES and just gave it that nice little isometric view.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the screenshots show like a volcano for natural. It honestly looks like an older SimCity game before they kind of got carried away. And that seems right up my alley. So we're going to check it out. I think it's going to be fun. And I love that it's Windows and Mac because I have both. So that's always a win.
Yes.
And $5 is also a win.
Oh, huge. Huge.
So yeah,
this will be fun to play. I'm keenly interested. We were talking about maybe doing something with this.
We're gonna check it out, and if we like it, we'll do. I don't know. I'll do at least like a video, like a YouTube video of it, maybe stream. I've actually been kind of getting into. So I watch Ambiguous Amphibian. Who's a YouTuber who does game challenges primarily. So I was talking about doing Sea Ice RimWorld that I had started a few days ago.
Yep.
That was where I found out about it from, was Ambiguous Amphibian.
Nice.
Great voice, really cool content, and just does ridiculous challenges like starting the Sims underground. So you max depth your entire starting area in the Sims and then try and like build back. You start with nothing and you try and build out before you die of old age.
Oh God.
Just stupid challenges. Yeah. So I think Pocket City, I don't know if we ever actually said the name, but Pocket City.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I think that's what I would do, is probably like figure out a ridiculous challenge to do in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
So, by the way, since this will be coming out tomorrow morning, if you have ideas for what you would like to see me try, drop them in Discord.
Yeah.
Or comment on the video.
Yeah,
I look at both.
Yep. And if you liked what you see, hey, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your friends, tell 4 friends, to tell their friends, to tell their aunts and uncles, and possibly their grandparents.
Is that additive, or is this just we want them to like go and get other people?
Spread the word.
That's probably all you needed to say.
Spread the word.
Yeah, super cool. I'm actually looking forward to it. I think starting a new game with a weird challenge should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've also actually been playing Tiny Tactics, which is a tower defense game I was showing you guys earlier.
Yeah, it's super cute looking.
We'll link it. It's new as well. It's not quite as new, but it's new.
Has a very Clash of Clans kind of art style.
Art style, yeah. And just a cool little tower defense. I mean, tower defense has been done a million different ways, a million different times. So I don't think anything's groundbreaking, but I'm enjoying it.
Yep, it's fun.
It looked really cool.
Yeah, it's actually a lot harder than some of the tower defenses that I've played, because it's all about you actually adjust. And this isn't unique to it, by the way, but there's no set path that you place towers. Mm-hmm. You place towers to adjust the path. And different mechanics. They kind of put all of my favorite mechanics of a tower defense game into one, which I'm loving it.
I just loved it. How it was funny because how you were saying it's not super easy, and yet you literally blew through a level, not even paying attention to it this afternoon, and you just literally blew through a level. And at about the 6th wave, Adrian was saying, "Oh, I'm probably going to die here." And then he looked up again. He's at like level 15. He's like, "Oh God."
Yeah, I'm sitting here half paying attention, just clicking random towers, basically. And not totally random, but I just got lucky with my picks, I think. And sure enough, smoked the level.
Rocked it.
But no, it's cool. If you're into tower defense, I definitely recommend checking it out. I don't remember what it cost, but it was also reasonably priced. I think it was like $15 or something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to look it up?
No.
Okay.
I was actually wondering if you wanted to talk about either of these two other things.
Oh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I just enjoy it because it was a crappy old movie too.
I don't think we need to say anything more about it.
No, I just love that. Someone decided it deserved a game.
Yeah, no. If you're the type of person who will buy a game based solely on the title and premise, which I am, check it out.
And then I like itch.io.
This is a web game.
Yes, it's a little web game. I like itch.io. I like cruising around, seeing what's there every once in a while. Found a game called Complete Lawn Care. It's a little web game. You just play it in your browser. You're cutting lawns.
And you said it was like stick figure art?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of like a stick figure guy pushing around a little lawnmower. It's really simple graphics, and
I'm loading it up right now.
Yeah, you check your emails, you get assignments.
Oh, this has like super retro feel to it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on board with this.
Yes.
God damn it, Sarah. This is the second time we filmed where you've like completely ruined my night.
I'm not sorry.
Last time it was the Dyson Swarm, the Idle Dyson Swarm, which then you never played and you got me hooked on.
I have been playing it, just not as much.
Yeah, I asked her how many times she had restarted the game. She's like, "Oh, I haven't yet.
I haven't
I'm on like 25." That looks cool. Well, Complete Lawn Care. I'm actually going to check that out myself. So
if you like indie games and you've never heard of itch.io, it is the place to check out.
Yeah, I haven't spent much time on it. I'm going to have to start looking at it more often.
Some of the games are also on Steam, so it's not like they're super duper indie. Like there are some super duper indie stuff, but yeah, it's got a little bit of everything. Like you can get assets to build your own games.
Little lower barrier for entry than full-on Steam listing.
Yeah. And you can get a lot of bundles. They have what they call jams, where it's like they're given almost like a prompt or something that a writer would get for something, and then they have like a certain amount of time to build a game.
I think I'm going to get back into game dev briefly because Idle Dyson Swarm. I really like idle games, and there's enough things that I would change about this game that I was thinking about it. I want to make an idle game that you start as a single-celled organism. Think Spore, but as an idle game. So you start as a single-celled organism and you have to compete up to like multi-cell and then like actual sentient and then spacefaring, conquer the galaxy, and then you restart into a new universe. But you can like bring forward genetic memory or something, or like seed slightly different universal constants to allow you to like further the next round. I've been thinking about it a lot this week, and I think I'm going to have to make it.
I will happily play test.
Yeah, you're going to be a beta tester. Yeah,
yes.
I legitimately think I'm going to start writing it next week. So, yeah. So
sorry, I guess.
No, actually, I'm really excited about it. If I do indeed make any progress on it in the near future, I will update people in Discord.
Yeah,
cool.
That'll be cool.
And probably on the podcast as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think given that we still have to edit and release this tonight, upload it tonight, I think we should probably cut it there. Cool. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Sarah, take us out.
Thank you for watching us. We love you. Click subscribe.
There it is.
Don't click the button that does the dingy thing, the bell. Don't do that.
No, they're allowed to click the bell. I decided.
No.
Oh, okay. You're not allowed to click the bell.
Not today.
Hang on. I have the bell. Where's the bell?
We don't have a bell.
No, I have a little bell. Here it is.
Don't forget to join the Discord.
Yeah,
join the Discord.
He was just talking to me. That's not a bell. That's a hat.
It's not a bell, but ring the bell.
I guess you can ring the bell. Join the Discord.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, tell 3 friends or 4 or your grandparents, whatever Chad said. I don't know what the fuck he was saying.
Yeah.
Your nephew's cousin's best friend's former roommate.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Also, tell us what you're excited about from Gamescom, what you think of One D&D, and if you get Pocket City, let us know. Let us know what you think of it.
Let me know what you want me to do. Let me know what challenge you want me to do. Because I do actually want to try. I would love to do a community-driven challenge.
Yeah. So. And anything you know of on itch or any of those little weird indie games, let me know those.
Damn it, don't, because then she'll tell me and then I'll have more games to play.
All right, I'm going to beat Saints Row.
All right. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming.